First thing you need is a palette. There's paint all over it, and I'm too lazy to take it off. Do whatever is best for you. Sometimes you can just get a plain lid from, you know, Tupperware container. And if you're allowed to use one, sorry, the music is so intense, just put paint all over it. It's good. And it's plastic, so usually the paint comes like right off. It's up to you what you want to do with your palette, but it is important to have one. Water. Now, just like the palette, it's very messy, but it's just water, and you're going to be putting your paintbrushes in it to clean it. Brushes. I have many brushes, different sizes, and you know, the tips are different depending on what I'm painting. Some are square, rounded, and a few of them are flat. I enjoy the smaller brushes. They kind of give me better detail. Maybe, see, like this one's super small. I don't really use that one that much, but anyway, brushes are, I think I might have to clean this off because I don't want it to be hard to understand what I'm blending when I show you. So I'll be right back. So honestly, I just decided to grab another Tupperware lid because, as I mentioned before, I'm lazy, and it's just a clean slate to start on, so here you go. This is a cloth that I just have next to me while I'm painting. If I need to just quickly wipe something off, I'll just use it. It's not glamorous, it doesn't look great, but it's not supposed to. So yeah. First thing is never mix paint on top of what you're painting, because if the paint gets on the painting, you're going to be crying, and then it's ruined, and then you're going to cry some more because it's ruined. So we're going to do this. It's like a really bad idea, but you know, I'm not fancy. I'm going to be grabbing the colors that I'll be using for the skin tones. I'm using Liquitex Basics paint. It's kind of the cheapest stuff you could probably get. Basics are good if you're just starting. Another brand that I use is Winsor & Newton. They come in all different colors, but I have more of the basics, so it's the same paint. It's just more expensive, and I don't really see any difference. So I will be using the following colors: Mars Black, Burnt Sienna, Unbleached Titanium, Cadmium Red Deep Hue, Titanium White, and Light Portrait Pink. As well as the thing I just put away, Burnt Umber from Winsor & Newton. So when I'm mixing colors, I'm not gonna, you know, that was a horrible thing to do. Okay, I am the worst ever. Don't watch me do this anymore. Never put anything on top of your artwork. It is literally the worst thing you could do. Okay, now we're trying to be professionals here. I probably won't get all of the colors on the palette just because when I'm painting a specific area, I don't want the paints to dry because acrylics do dry pretty fast. I'll probably just put on what I need and small amounts. So for mixing colors, literally now we're going to be mixing. I'm going to start with some white. Pink. Burnt sienna. Hello. Okay, that was too much, but I'll be using it later, so it doesn't matter. I might need more of this anyway. So I try to use like these two colors.
When I've seen the film now twice,
for this specific painting just because he's kind of, I don't know how to explain his skin tone. It's not fair, but it's not tan. I don't know. We'll see. I kind of just look at the color on the photo reference and try to match what I see. One thing that I've learned is not to kind of like go all around because you're just gonna be spreading out the paint. It'll be better for you to mix in a small area and then pile up the paint. The thing with acrylics is this part right here will dry faster than this part up here because there's a bigger pile. Okay, I'm gonna use this flat head brush to kind of cover the surface as much as possible. One thing I do is I take the brush, dip it in water. It starts to turn into a wash. It does not cover the pencil line up completely because it is more of a transparent layer, and it gives a base so I'm not starting right off of a white background. See, I already need more, so sometimes you do need to prepare to have more, but I'm always leaving paint on the palette and it's a waste of paint, so I try to just remember that less is more. So once that's done, you're going to let it dry. That is very important. That's kind of the same thing with watercolor. If you want to keep adding layers, I think I've explained this before in some of my other YouTube videos, especially when I was doing the watercolor painting. You're supposed to kind of wait until that first layer dries so that when you add the next one, it doesn't become muddy. So now I'm adding more paint to my palette, and again, I suggest to not add paint on the palette under the drying or the painting because you're going to ruin it, so don't listen to me. This could be very dangerous because sometimes the paint just squirts out and you can't control it. I'm going to add a thicker layer of paint to my under painting drawing. Probably go in with that's the same color, smaller brush just because I like to add detail. I don't really have a method to, if I add a lighter color or a darker color first. I grab the same color that we used for the first layer, not watered down. I think I'm gonna go in with the darks first. Now I can add other color that I showed before, but I think right now I'm just gonna stick with these. And I do have guidelines to where I add the shadow because of my underdrawing, but I am still looking at the reference photo. Now, blending is kind of tricky because I tend to blend on the painting itself rather than the palette. You can kind of see that it's not a stark white when I add it. It's because I already have a wet color underneath that blending into. I'm kind of working quick as well, just because I know that they dry fast. So I'm kind of just going over multiple areas by grabbing the color, not very much, very, very little, and just moving it back and forth in the same spot to get the blend that I want. It doesn't really look like much, but it's really all about patience and paying attention to the reference. You need to kind of train your eye to look back and forth at the reference for the best result. Because this is how I do it does not mean that you have to follow. It's just the way I've learned and stuck with. I am still learning. As I'm moving down with my paintbrush, I'm finding new shades and colors to put in, so I don't really want to lose that spot, so I just add as I go. I'll probably use this brush for most of the hand just because I have a lot more control with this size. Because this part right here is still wet, I can go in with like a highlight, which would be white in this case, and add. And you can kind of see the difference between that, and how after I added white, it is a little bit lighter than this part down here.
Delay what you make of my life, but I don't want your way.